Now we all know retards. They make faces at you like, but there's only one thing going through their mind, and that's dumb. But nothing is dumber than a retard being stupid. Yeah, I know. Now it's funny making fun of retards when they trip and fall numerous times on one occasion, or when they try to drive a car, even when everybody knows and clearly tells them, you're dumb, you cannot drive a car. But yet they still try. But I'd like to bring forth a serious matter. It involves a retard and many normal people. But the spotlight is on this retard. Because he's stupid. To begin my story, this lonely retard, as all retards are, named, ironically, John, was walking down the street. And he met his friend, Jim, only to realize he had no friends, and Jim was just there to make fun of his retardation. After a slight encounter with Jim, he went to the grocery store with nothing on his mind but dumb. His thoughts were like a 5th grade adolescent who had just eaten sugar. He couldn't control his brain, and the only thing he knew was that the alphabet started with N and ended with D. The doors opened, and he wanted to buy a candy bar. So he grabbed the candy bar in his retard trembling fingers and slowly made his way to the cash register, only to be cut in line by some schmuck who didn't know that this man had the brain of a 2-year-old. He tried to speak his retard language consisting of and but man, he didn't know what to do. The man just looked at him as if he was 2. The retard got fed up and walked away, and he accidentally skipped the counter. He walked outside the door and stopped dead in his tracks and thought to himself, I just stole a candy bar. I'm gonna go to jail. John sat there for 5 minutes pondering what would happen. And we all know that if you're there in 5 minutes and nothing happens, you're not gonna get in trouble. But he was dumb, and don't forget it. He ran and ran until he ran out of breath. 5 yards down the road, he laid passed out from heat exhaustion. He woke up and ran 7 more yards. And then he got on a bus, which then took him to a taxi drop-off station, which then took him to his destination. He sat there and thought, oh God, I'm gonna get in trouble. And he was scared. He tried to turn on the TV, but he didn't know how to work such a complex thing as a remote control. He didn't know that power meant to be turned on. He didn't even know how to press a button. He's dumb. So this man sat there for hours as he thought cops would come, and someone finally knocked on the door, and he said, who is it? What do you want? And they said, room service. So he took out the Bible that was in his dresser and said, I'm gonna shoot you. Not knowing that Bible does not have the capacity to shoot objects at anybody except faith, he threatened them. They said, no, I'll just come back later. And he said, duh, and and they wondered why a grown man would say, and duh, but they still left. And he later took the Bible and shot himself. everybody knows that you can't shoot yourself, but he didn't. He laid there dead. But he was retarded, and he thought he was dead. But you cannot kill yourself with the Bible. So he laid there alive. And then he got up and said, I'm in heaven. And he walked, and he fell down a flight of steps. A retard falling down a flight of steps is possibly the funniest thing ever. But not when they die. Luckily he didn't. But then he fell down another flight of steps, cracking his face on every hardwood floor panel there, until he fell to his death. No one cared, because he's dumb. The end.